Sal said I got the notebook ready. All right, bet. Meet me over there. Yo, barbers. What's going on, everybody? You are now tuned in to another live episode. This is a live episode of the Barbers podcast, man. How you guys feeling? I see we got some people on here. Elevate Cuts Hair is in the building. Said, let's go. We in here, guys. Show us some love in the comment section. Let us know where you're tapping in from. This conversation is going to be a very, very fun one. It's going to be super informative. And I promise you, you guys are going to be glad that you joined. I'm going to have a conversation with my man, Ivan Zoot. Now, guys, I graduated barber school back in 2011. So I'm starting to become an OG in this thing, right? And one of the first people I came across on YouTube was the man, Ivan Zoot. And the thing about Ivan that stood out to me was from day one, he was never really into all of the flashy extra stuff that was like grabbing most of the people who were consuming YouTube content, myself included. Like he wasn't doing these flawless fades and these crazy texture tops and designs and stuff, but he was always dropping a ton of knowledge in game when it comes to barbering and business and clientele building. So I learned a lot from him. Then as I started to travel in the barber industry, I got an opportunity to go to his classes. And that's when everything really like changed for me, because it was one thing seeing this man on YouTube. It was a whole other thing being in the room, feeling his energy, seeing his passion, and being able to ask him questions and pick his brain. And he's just taught me so much over the years. And I can say at this point in time, I call him a friend, man. Like over these years, he's a friend of mine. He's a mentor of mine. And a lot of what you hear me preach and say, I promise you, it comes from this man. I in my own Marvy Marv way. So, guys, I hope you guys are ready for this conversation. Be prepared to ask some questions. More importantly, be prepared to take a lot of notes. If you can screen record, just go for it. I'm going to save it to my page, but be prepared to take a lot of notes. Mike said, let's go. We got Quick's Barbershop in the building. Miss, I don't want to butcher your name, says Ivan's always been the same, very, very informative. So I guess it's time to get into it, right? I see my man Ivan waiting. He's all set. So let's bring him in, and I'll let the man speak for himself. And I guess he's about to drop a whole bunch of games. So let me add my guy Ivan to the stream real quick. Ivan, can you hear me, bro?
Loud and clear, my friend. Good evening.
Barbers, what's up, man? How are you doing?
I am well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm great, and I'm grateful. I'm thankful that you've taken time out of your busy schedule to make some time to have a conversation with me, and more importantly, drop some gems on the barbers, man. I appreciate you, and I just want to say thank you. Thank you from the barber industry, as a matter of fact.
Well, you're very welcome. I got to be honest with you. I've been, always keeping tabs on you. I'm on Instagram, and I'm on TikTok, and I'm on watching you and everything. And I'm hearing you lately. Lately, you've been on fire, and you've been interviewing some folks. And I'm sitting alone in my basement going, how come he doesn't want to talk to me? So when you reached out the other day, I'm super excited to have the chance to share with some of your community and continue to bring important conversations to this industry that I'm passionate about. I'm still involved in every day, and I'm always amazed at the great things people are doing out there, and I'm just excited to be a part of it and helping move it forward.
Yeah, and we're excited to have you, and we're thankful to have you, bro. For those of you, there's people on here, believe it or not, that may not know who you are, right? Like, they may not know. They're like, who is this guy, Ivan Zoot? Who is he? I never heard of him before. So if you could you give a brief rundown of maybe a couple of the things that you've done over the past 35 years in the barber industry to bring them up to speed?
Absolutely. It's funny. We travel so much, and my wife travels with me now. The boys are older and grown, and they're no longer living at home. And my little one just got married. My big one's having a baby. So we travel a lot together, and my wife is the one that gets upset when people don't know me, like or people don't recognize me, or we'll walk in a shop somewhere and somebody won't know me. And she also gets an incredible thrill when, I'm standing at baggage claim at an airport for a show, just waiting on my suitcase. And you'll see some 3 barbers are standing there waiting for their suitcases. And one of them will finally walk up and go, "Hey, are you Ivan Zoot?" And of course, she gets a thrill out of that. And I'm always happy to talk to people and interact with people when we're out and about and everything. But you're 35 years in the business. Absolutely. In terms of the greatest hits, barber license, cos license, shop owner, international trainer, worked with brands and manufacturers, pretty much every job in the business except cosmetology or barber school instructor along the journey. Started out, of course, as a shampoo girl, sweeping somebody else's floor, folding somebody else's towels, shampooing somebody else's customers. That's where we all should start, really. Along the way, I think everybody knows I picked up 3 Guinness World Records for haircutting efficiency and productivity. I'm working on book number 15 in the beauty and barber business. I've written 14 books that are sold. My website, Amazon, they're out there helping people build and grow business in the business. And, fortunately, I've had a lot of good brands and sponsorship partners. My biggest, longest running and very generous and supportive of what I do. I wouldn't be at the shows you see me at if it wasn't for the folks from Barbicide. Barbicide makes it possible for me to be out there sharing on behalf of them and to be able to help people in the industry. So always a big shout out to the guys that write the big checks to make it happen. And it's a busy show season right now. I'm heading to Jacksonville this weekend, Northern California the week after that. I think I'm going to see you. I thought I saw your name on the bill for some of that. So yeah, it's all good.
So yeah, I hope you guys, I hope that was enough to help you guys understand that it might be a time for you to listen. As you guys can see, I labeled this conversation, it's more than a cut, it's business. So Ivan, let me ask you, what are your thoughts when you hear me say that it's more than a cut, it's business? What's the first few things that come to mind?
Well, here's the deal. You guys know that actor, J.K. Simmons, the guy that does the commercials for Farmers Insurance Group of companies? You guys have seen that ad? Do they have those in your area?
I don't know if I've seen that one.
Actor, he's a bald guy with a goatee. You know his voice. You've seen him. You know him.
Yep.
It's a popular ad series, but they've got a little tagline, and their tagline is, "We know some things because we've seen some things." And they use that in their commercials. And 35 years in the business, one of my newest classes, I'm actually going to be sharing the next few weeks, is called 10 Things I Know for Sure About the Beauty and Barber Business. And the idea is this: there's a lot of stuff I don't know. There's a lot of stuff I'm not sure of. But there's a very limited number of things that I absolutely know for sure. And I built a class around this group of ideas because, in a way, it maybe is my big wisdom that I want to share with people in our industry and the business. So when you say it's more than a haircut, it's a business, that really reminds me of thing number 1 that I know for sure about the beauty and barber business. And that is this. One thing I know for sure about the beauty and barber business is today, good haircuts are very, very easy to find. And what I mean by that is this: the average haircut that is being produced in America today is above average. Schools are turning out decently qualified and talented individuals. The average skill level is very, very high. So if haircuts out there, generally speaking, are perfectly good enough, and I know you've posted on a lot of this recently, I always tell people, you ever look at my Instagram and notice I don't post any pictures of my customers on Instagram? And why is that? The answer is because you don't want to see my customers. My customers look like your grandpa. Okay, the back and sides are tapered, the ears are clean. If there's anything on top, it's nicely layered and blended in. And I'm going to do it again in 2 weeks. And these are basic, simple, clean haircuts. And the reality is, it's the backbone of our business. It's the money-making part of our business. But here's the kicker. And this is the part that's uncomfortable for people. Haircuts don't matter. And I would guess that every single person listening to this right now, and every single person that will listen to this on replay later, is able to do haircuts good enough. Good enough to make the customer happy, good enough to get the customer to come back. Yet, we're constantly dropping big dollars on the next clipper. We're constantly going to a show and sitting in another haircutting class, but I'm down the hall teaching a business class, and Marv's down the other hall teaching another business class, and we got half a room full of people. Because our industry has told people, go to a cutting class. And I'm going to tell people ROI, return on investment. If you spend another hour in a cutting class and you spend another hour in a business class, you will get more that will help your business with the business class than you will with the haircut class.
I love it. It's so true, man. Let me ask you, were you ever caught up in that phase where you were so obsessed with trying to make sure the haircut was perfect? Because the era I came up in, Instagram was around, and this weird barbering thing that's been created amongst ourselves was it was starting to blow up. So like some of the first people I remember personally coming across on Instagram was like A-Rod, Papito Bless Hand, some of these guys, right? And so what I was coming up on was seeing a lot of these perfected, flawless haircuts. So for me, being a new barber, I was trying my best to put out those haircuts, and I was wrapped up in that for a while. Did you ever really deal with that, or did you know early on from jump that, hey, my job is to cut hair, make the customers happy, and keep the chair spinning?
You know, I'll tell you the quick story. Graduated from beauty school. I was working as an assistant and a shampoo girl, and I got promoted to stylist once I passed the test, got in this big upscale fancy full service salon. 1988, a haircut with me in that shop was $78. 1988, 78 bucks in a fancy salon. And I was horrible. I mean, I was really, really bad. The joke is I used to tell people that I specialized in asymmetric haircuts. Okay, what that means is I couldn't get them even. Okay. Yeah. However, we had training on Tuesday nights. We had Tuesday night training. You get a model. They got senior stylists and the owners and the managers and everybody. And one of the first Tuesday night training sessions, my owner said something to me. The owner of the shop said something to me that I have never forgotten. He looked at me and he says, you know what your problem is? I said, no, what's that? And he goes, your problem is your mouth is better than your hands. And you know what? He was right. And rather than say that's a problem I have to fix, because honestly, I've always been an average hair cutter. 3 Guinness World Records later, and I'm proud to tell you, I am an average hair cutter. When you rattle off names of some of these guys that create these unperfect pieces of work, first of all, I've never believed there's such a thing as perfect. And if there was, it was going to be elusive to me anyways. But I cannot produce work at that level. I never have. And to be very honest, I've never tried to, because I've never believed it was necessary for what I was doing in the business. Now, if you want to dominate social media, you better be able to produce work at that level. And by the way, I think we all understand that producing work at that level is 51% barbering and 49% social media and photography and editing and filtering and all those other important skills. But no, I never got caught up in that because it wasn't a thing. And I'd already found success without it. So my God, there was no reason to go after that. Why chase a target I can't hit?
Yeah. I remember earlier days in my career, I was actually sharing a story live earlier today. I remember one of the barbers that I worked with at the time, back early in my career, there was a time where I watched him put out 6 haircuts in an hour, right? 6. And at this time, I believe we were charging about $20 a cut. So you figure he's probably making 25, 30 bucks a cut, right? So he probably made anywhere between 150, 180 bucks, right, in that hour. And me, I was across from him. And in that same hour, I did one haircut for that same $20 price point. So I probably got 25, 30 as well. I don't remember the specifics. But what I can remember is I remember watching him do that. And in my brain, thinking what I was doing was better than what he was doing, because for me, I was focusing on quality over quantity, right? I was focused on perfecting the cut, and I was focused on making sure my fades were blurry fades, and I was trying to put out fades that were better than his. And even though he put out 6 in that time, I put out my 1, and in my mind, it was a better cut than the ones he was putting out. But at the end of the day, he made 6 times the amount of money that I made in that hour. And there was numerous days where he was able to leave hours earlier than I did, making more money than I did. But just being a newer barber and unsure of how to go, I'm thinking that what I'm doing is the right way to do it, not understanding that he was already at that point in his career where he understood that it's what the customer thinks that's important, and the customer values being in and out in a timely fashion, and all these things that we're going to get into. But it's just interesting to me because I went through that phase that I see so many of these guys going through. And that's why I'm so passionate about a lot of the things that I speak on, especially more recently, because I'm trying to my best to help some of these up and coming barbers that are getting lost in this highlight reel of social media. And I'm trying to save them from investing as much time, effort, and energy into what I did, and what a lot of barbers did, and save them from that. So that way they can grow quicker and see success in their business quicker. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, you know, one of the ways I phrase that in my classes, I'll ask this question, and I'll challenge your audience now. I mean, we've got chat going on here. I ask the question, what is the purpose of a haircut? Why do we cut hair? And we get some interesting answers. You know, people say, well, to make people look good. Well, have you ever been to Walmart?
Yeah.
That's not working. You know, why do we cut hair? To make your hair shorter than it is right now? Well, if that's the object of the game, there's a lot of different ways you can go about doing that. My definition, or my answer to the question, what is the purpose of a haircut? Why do we cut hair? Comes down to this. I believe, and I share, that the purpose of a haircut is to earn the right to do the next haircut. And here's what I mean by this. We have an unspoken, unwritten contract or agreement in our industry. Now, occasionally in my career, I've been in a barber shop or a hair salon where people pay ahead of time. They walk in and they pay, and then they get their haircut. But that is unusual. That is not the way our business generally operates. Generally speaking, we have an unspoken agreement. The agreement is, if you come to the shop and you sit in my chair, I will cut your hair, and when we are done, you will pay me. We never really discussed that. We've never asked a client, hey, show me the money first. Yeah, you got the money, right? I just want to see it. You don't have to give it to me, but I just want to make sure you have it. We operate on the honor system that I will cut your hair and you will pay me. So what that means, what I take that to mean, what I share is, assuming that we understand that contractual, unspoken contractual agreement, that means that the haircut I'm doing right now is over before it started. It is signed, sealed, delivered, agreed, and paid. So what that means is when a client sits down in our chair, every single thing we do, every single thing we say, every single thing they see, every single thing they hear, every single thing they smell, all of their senses. When a client sits down in the chair, everything they experience is for the sole purpose of getting them to get their next haircut from you instead of buying their next one from somebody else. That is the definition of a successful haircut. It's any haircut, because this one's paid for already. It's any haircut that earns you the next one. And here's the thing. When you think about the fact that when a client leaves your chair and leaves your shop, unless of course you rebook them, the single most important non-technical skill you can ever develop in our industry, rebooking. If you haven't rebooked them, the idea that they might come back is a bit of a fantasy and requires a miracle. Because when you consider the advertising, the marketing, the billboards, the coupons, the referrals, the recommendations, all of the things that are trying to pull that client into a different chair, the idea that they would come back to your chair is both a blessing and a miracle. And when we approach the interaction, when we approach the haircut opportunity, recognizing that what I'm doing right now is not about this haircut, it's about earning the next one. That's where the magic happens. That's where this business, quite frankly, is pretty easy. Once you get that piece figured out, boom.
Barbers. Guys, let me know how you're feeling about this conversation so far in the chat. If you got questions, feel free to shoot your questions in the chat. Also, if you're enjoying this too, guys, if you're watching on your phone, take a screenshot, share it to your IG story, tag me, tag Ivan Zoot in it. Send it to a friend. Let people know that we're live right now. If you're watching it on your TV or laptop, take a picture of it with your phone, share it to your story. Let's get people on this live to get the value that we're giving out, right? I see somebody commented earlier, all this free education. So if you guys feel like you're learning a lot and you're going to learn a lot more, make sure that you're paying it forward. Kyle says, I was able to take Ivan's class in Orlando and I loved it. I tell you what, man, Ivan, the first time I took your class, I don't remember which show it was specifically because they all start to blend together, right?
Well, once they put you in that room with the chairs,
yeah,
every one of them in the entire country looks the same.
Yeah. So it was it was either like a premiere or something like that. But I remember going to your class for the first time and I was with my wife and you just snapped, bro. Like you went off and you had a couple classes that day. And I remember we went to your class and then you had another one a few hours later. And I remember looking at the schedule and seeing who else was up. And there was these other classes. And I'm like, you know what? I want to go back to his class again. I got to hear some of that again. And what was cool about it was you touched on a lot of the same stuff, but then you dropped so much more like new stuff. And it was just super valuable. And it was just, I mean, it was life-changing, man. It was inspiring. It was another one of those moments in my career where I was like, yo, I gotta do what he does for people. The same way he's doing this for me, I gotta do what he does for people. So it helped reignite that fire, made me want to hit the drawing board, learn more so that I can take what you're giving me and pay it forward, you know? So
I love that story. And thank you so much. I will tell you my version of that story. I was a beauty school student. And I went to Milwaukee, which from where I live on the north suburbs of Chicago, Milwaukee's about an hour and 10 minutes away. My wife and I was a beauty school student. We drove up to Milwaukee to attend a show. And I sat in the back row of a class with a guy, a clipper cutting educator, a guy by the name of Jim Jones, who pre-social media, a long time ago, this guy was the bomb. This guy was the men's clipper cutting educator. He was independent. He didn't work with a brand. And I sat in the back row of Jim's clipper cutting class in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, at the Milwaukee Mecca. It's a convention center they tore down years ago. It's long gone. And I turned to my wife and I said, that's what I want to do. I want to stand on stage at trade shows in the beauty and barber business, and I want to teach people how to cut hair with clippers. Now, my wife said to me, that's a great idea. How about you finish beauty school first, okay? But the true story is he went on to become a good friend. He went on to become a mentor of mine, who I learned a great deal from, pay a great deal of tribute to, for helping me from a technical standpoint. He was not as much a business educator. Later on in his career, he, like me, starting out with technical cutting and then moving on into some other categories and things later on, he had released a series back in the day. Now I'm going to date myself here. His motivational business education was sold on cassette tapes. Now, I know some of our audience doesn't know what those are, but it was
wild to me.
It was a set of cassette tapes, and it was called Soar Like an Eagle. And he used the comparison of people in the shop that were either eagles or ducks. And his point was, you're either soaring like an eagle or you're sitting in the pond just going quack, quack, quack. And we all have worked with eagles and we all have worked with ducks. But he was one of those guys that was a real inspiration to me way back when in that very same way. So very cool. And I
Yeah.
want to know, I believe that there are people sitting in your classes and there are still people sitting in my classes that are watching, thinking, hopefully are inspired, and that they represent the next generation that's coming up. I got to warn you, Marv, there's always some young one nipping at your heels, somebody that wants your classroom, wants your microphone, wants your moment. And I always say it's hard to hit a moving target. So I wish them lots of luck. But records are made to be broken. History moves on. So there's a whole other generation of people coming up behind us that are going to do great things in their own way. And that's exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting. And I think that's part of the reason why I'm trying to, go as hard as I am and then have these type of conversations to leave these people, this up and coming generation with the valuable tools, right? Because there are times where I'll get a little discouraged when I see the direction that some of the new age barbers are going in. And I am aware enough to realize that there not all change is bad and a lot of change is good, right? And I am aware that just because things were done one way doesn't mean that was the best way to do them. Maybe there's a better way to do that. I'm aware of a lot of that. But at the same time, there are certain things that are universal truths, right? And there's just principles that stand the test of time. So again, that's why I'm trying my best to just deliver that value from the most rawest and truthful perspective I can. And that's why I like to have conversations like this so that you can do the same thing. Because at the end of the day, regardless of how anybody may feel, let's say about you, bro, you've been doing this for 35 years. You got to know something, right? And you have some of these younger barbers and newer barbers, they'll be new into the industry. And I was just ranting about this not too long ago. They'll be newer in the industry, and their thing is, I'm charging more than barbers that have been doing this for 10, 15 years, or I'm doing this, and these barbers been in the game so long and still haven't had it figured out, right? And they make some of these comments, and yeah, sure, there are instances where you should be happy because you're ahead of the game, right? To a degree, which you should be, right? Because there's people that have paved the way before you, paved the trail, left the path, left you the clues. So if you just follow what has worked and you trace that path, you should be able to get there faster than they did, right? Like it's just the natural evolution of things. But at the same time, the other argument I always offer to some of these people is, yeah, you've been doing it for 2 years and you're crushing it. Yeah, you've been doing it for 3-4 years and you're crushing it. But these OGs that you're bashing, they've been doing it for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 35 years. They've lasted. So we got to see if you're going to last that long. We got to see if you're going to be able to last through some of your clients growing up and moving away to relocate for a new job, or getting in a relationship and not getting their hair cut as much. So now you're not seeing them as frequently, or them going off to college. Like, you got to survive some of this stuff. So while it's cool to be ahead of the game, while it's cool to feel like you're doing it, at the same time, it's you got to show respect and honor some of the people that have been doing it for a while, because they've done proven that they can stand the test of time, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Hey, real quick, there's a question in the chat here. Jamarcum Vids asked the question, my shop is increasing prices. I'm the newest barber compared to the others, so I charge less. They want me to match their prices since I do the same quality work. I'm not as busy as them, though. Thoughts? I want to make a point here, and I want to make sure everybody understands this. There's so much conversation about price increasing. We just got done with July 1 Raise Your Haircut Prices Day in the USA. And the point of July 1 was not to go up on July 1. If you're going to do a calendar-based price increase, July 1's the best day, and it makes sense for a lot of reasons. But more importantly, the purpose of our haircutter holiday, July 1 Raise Your Haircut Prices Day in the USA, was to create dialogue, to foster sharing, communication, and understanding about pricing concepts and pricing theory. And my answer to the question that was asked here is this: the decision whether you go up or not, whether you're ready to go up or not, is not based on what any business, anyone else is doing. It is based on your occupancy. It is based on the mathematical answer to the question, how busy are you? Because there's occupancy numbers, meaning of the haircuts that you can cut, 2 an hour, 10 hours a day, that's 20 a day. How many did you do? You did 15. You're 75% occupied. The math is not complicated. My Professional Haircutter's Pricing Playbook, can you grab me a copy? My Professional Haircutter's Pricing Playbook is a book full of blank spaces where you plug in your numbers and your data and you work your formulas. It's based on the benchmark statistics and the calculations of our industry. And you make pricing decisions not with your head, your heart, or your gut. Pricing decisions are made with calculators and pencils. Pricing decisions are made with data and with information so that pricing decisions can be made with facts and confidence. A price decision should never be accompanied by stress or anxiety or being unsure. He's bringing up, this is my book page on the website. Right here's the Pricing Playbook. You're seeing it right there. But you'll notice when I open up the book, blank spaces. These are places for you to plug in your numbers and your data and to work these formulas. So my answer is, should you go up? You go up when the math says you go up. And my coaching for people is this: use a pencil. Use a pencil, because next week, next month, or next year, when your numbers change, you go back to the book, you plug in your new numbers, and you rework the formulas. This $25 for the book. You can use this as a coaching tool for 25 years. It's $1 a year when you break that down. So having the data and the information will let you make these decisions. I appreciate you asking the question. It's a great question. But what I want to really say here is, when you know how to get the data. Now, if you use a booking app, if you use a software system, when you know how to get the data out of your app, or if you're old school and you use a 3-ring binder and a pencil, when you know how to crunch the numbers, when you know how to look at the numbers, when you know how to interpret the numbers, the next step beyond interpretation, understand what the numbers are telling you, is what are the actions to take based on the numbers that you're seeing. That's where the magic happens. If you join my online academy, I got an online academy. You know, Marv's got his program. He's out there selling that thing hard every single day. And I am blown away, quite frankly, by the posts that I see Marv put up there about the things people are doing with the information he's sharing in his academy. He's better at social media than I am. The flip side of this is, when it comes to helping people make money in the business, old school money in the business, this way, that's what my academy is all about. It's all on the page. He's showing you the website there. It's all at ivanzoot.com.
Okay, so he said, Ivan, I don't know if you're reading this comment right there. He said, I do get fully booked every week, but not in advance. Still manage to hit $2K a week at $40 haircuts, 50 hair and beard. Only thing worrying me is that I'm not booked in advance as I would, much as I would like. What do you got to say about being booked in advance?
The answer is, being booked in advance is like having a 401k. It's like having an annuity. It's like having a retirement fund, because it secures your long-term financial health. So the answer is this: you got to do one thing. And I said this earlier in this program already tonight, and that is called rebooking. And rebooking is an art form. Rebooking is the action of securing the client's next appointment today before they leave the building. Now, it is the single most important non-technical skill that you can ever develop in our industry. I will tell you this, and I know this is hard for people to hear. If you're good at rebooking, you don't have to be good at haircutting. If you're good at rebooking, you don't have to be good at anything else, really. I mean, obviously, people will only rebook if they're happy. You know, if you said to me, how do you measure customer satisfaction in our industry? Satisfaction is a weird thing. Are you satisfied? People lie all the time. Yeah, I'm happy. No, no, no. I love the haircut. I love the, no, really, I love the haircut. People are lying to you all the time about loving the haircut because people don't come back because they don't love the haircut. The ultimate measurement of customer satisfaction in the beauty and barber business is something called your rebook rate. It is a number. It's not a weird, touchy-feely, hard to pin down emotional thing. It's a stone cold, sober fact. It's data and it's a number. It's the answer to the question of the people that you cut, what percentage of them book again before they leave? Now, here's how it works. You offer rebooking to 100% of your customers, non-negotiable, 100% compliance. You offer rebooking. And in a minute, I'm going to tell you how, so you know how to do it. We're going to teach you how in this class, on this program. I'm going to teach you how to rebook. Because in order to rebook, you need one sentence or a different one. There's two sentences. You need one or the other. You don't need them both. You only need one. I'm going to explain to you what they are. But bottom line, you calculate this number of the people that you cut, what percentage of them rebook. This is your rebook rate. And you live and die by this. This is your customer satisfaction rate. This is a true measure. I don't care if you like, I don't care how many likes the haircut gets on the gram. I don't care how proud you are of the haircut. I don't care if this guy gets a haircut, goes out to the bar and is able to go home with somebody. That is not how you measure the quality of your experience. It is measured by your rebook rate. 100% compliance. Now, are you ready for the two sentences?
This is for K Cuts hair, right? Because he just said, Ivan, I've been working on doing better at rebooking. This is my guy. He's a hard worker. He grinds. He works with me. He's action taker. So this advice you're about to give him is not going to fall on deaf ears. He will definitely implement it. He says, my question is, how or what would be the best way to get them to book before they leave? So
right, here's the thing, bro. You give them your link. They aren't going to do anything with your link. You must secure the appointment yourself physically before they leave the building. And here are the two sentences. If you are fully booked and busy, you say one thing. If you are not fully booked and busy, you say a different thing. And here they are. If you are fully booked and busy, Marv, you're going to do this with me now. I'm the hair cutter. Marv, you're the customer, okay?
Let's do it.
So we're going to role play this right now. Are you with me, buddy?
Let's do it.
Here we go. I just got done cutting your hair. I brought you up front. I sold you some hair care product. I gave you a couple of business cards so you can send a couple of your friends. And the last thing I say to you is this. Guys, write this down in your notes. I know he's recording it. You come back, listen to it again later. Marv.
What's going on, man?
I'm fully booked. If you don't book your appointment right now before you leave, you're not getting in. That's the whole thing. That's
okay,
it.
So let's offer a rebuttal, right? Well, I don't typically know when I'm free, so my schedule can fluctuate, so I can't really commit to a time.
Most of the time you're coming in here on Tuesdays in the afternoon. You got a 3-week haircut on your head right now. Let's put you down for 3 weeks from now on Tuesday. My system's going to send you a reminder text. If you need to move it or scoot it a little bit, we'll accommodate you, but you want to be looking sharp. You got to be on the book, because otherwise, if you don't do it, 3 weeks from now, you're going to try to get an appointment. I'm going to be full. You're going to be lucky to get into week 4 or even week 5. You're going to be walking around looking like a bum.
I feel like you've done this a time or two.
I have done this a time or two. Yeah. Absolutely. But yeah, people are going to have legitimate excuses. Hey, school's starting. I got the new job. My mom's been sick. I got the thing with the dog. People have excuses. Most of the time, if people are overwhelmingly satisfied, again, remember, your rebook rate is a measure of your satisfaction. If people are overwhelmingly satisfied, you become a priority to them and they will rebook. Right now, their rebooking is a priority to you. You want to create a situation in which their rebooking becomes a priority to them. You see the difference there?
So what's the line for them if they're not busy and booked up like that?
That's the other line. Thank you for remembering. We're not going to lie to anybody. If you are not fully booked and busy, don't tell somebody you're fully booked and busy. You're full of crap is what you're full of. Don't tell people that. If you're not fully booked and busy, we're just going to word it a little bit differently. It's going to sound like this. Hey, Marv, you know what? Customers like you are coming back and they're sending their friends. And I'm getting busier every week. As one of my founding customers, I want you to have the time you want. That's a 3-week haircut. We're going to put you down for 3 weeks from Tuesday at 4:30, okay? So what you got there is this. Number one, you're telling him you're getting busy. Number two, you're thanking him for his patronage. Number three, it is a not so subtle reminder to send his friends. Because you say that and he's going, oh, wow, people are sending their friends? I haven't sent anybody. I better get my act together. Everybody else is sending their friends. I'm the only one who's not sending their friends. I better send my friends. So it serves the dual purpose of reinforcing the rebooking, encouraging your business to grow, and soliciting the referrals that are going to make you fully booked and busy.
I hope you guys, listen, I hope you guys are paying attention. I hope you guys are taking notes. Fortunately for y'all, you're going to be able to play this back. All right. Fortunately for y'all. But what's more important than all of that is that what is being told to you right now is so valuable. And I just wish you could, I hope you can see it, but it's not going to have any value to you if you don't actually implement it. Right. Because what he's saying makes a lot of sense. What he's saying is so effective. But if you don't do nothing with it, it ain't going to do nothing for you. And I'll tell you what, man, one of the things that it blew my mind was the first time that I started doing this rebook thing, because I didn't think to do it either. You probably were the first person to open my eyes to this. If I had to narrow it down to somebody, it was probably you, right? But I remember cutting one of my clients years ago, and he was saying to me, I was talking to him, and he's like, yeah, I've been trying to get it for a haircut, but, you know, I just be busy. And then every time I look at your schedule, you're booked, so it's just hard for me to get in. So I like to come every 2 weeks, but sometimes it gets pushed out to 3 or 4, sometimes 5, right? And when he said that to me, I said to him, I said, well, if you could get cut every 2 weeks, that's what you would want to do? And he's like, yeah, absolutely. And I said, well, we could just set you up a reoccurring appointment every 2 weeks. So that way you can have it set in stone. And, you know, worst case scenario, something changes, we can move it around. Would you want to do that? And he was like, yeah, I didn't know that you could do that. And I said, well, does this time normally work for you? It was like a Thursday at 12, for example. And he's like, yeah. So I said, all right, so let's do every 2 weeks, Thursdays at 12. Does that work? And he's like, yeah. And to this day, I still have him reoccurring. And since then, I've had so many more reoccurring. But it was just crazy to me because it was like, yo, I was thinking about so many times in my career where I missed that opportunity, where I had people sit in my chair, love the cut, love it, and tell me how much they loved it, or just had such a great experience. And then when all said and done, I just took their money and I said, have a nice day, you know? And then there were so many of them that I never seen again. And it very easily could happen simply because maybe they wanted to come back to me, but for whatever reason, I was booked up, or something happened. So they am going somewhere else. And now they're somebody else's client, you know? Yeah. So it just set me down that path of thinking about all the times I missed out on it. So I say all that because what he just gave you is so valuable. And if you could implement it, I'm telling you, this would be one of those things where you will see your books fill up so much faster, and you will see your pockets getting so much fatter, and you will put yourself in a position to be able to do what y'all all want to do, raise your prices a lot quicker than you thought you would.
You know, Marv, I want to tell you about what I learned this year, because I'm always learning something. Many of you are familiar with these books. This is book number, I think, 12 and 13 that I wrote. 100 by 100. That's 100 new haircut customers in 100 days. Now, the two versions, this is the entrepreneur edition if you own the business, and this is the employee edition if you work in someone's business. They're written from slightly different perspectives. But about these books, I always say, do you remember that TV show, Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? There's nothing, a fifth grader can build business in the beauty and barber business. There's nothing in these books that I suggest, recommend, or ask you to do that cannot be done by a fifth grader. And because at the end of the day, building business in our business is easy. So I was in Mexico in February at a program for my hair care product company. And as you know, Marv, now it's hard for me to go see you or you to go see me because we're both doing classes at the same time at the same show. But at this show in Mexico, we only had one room. So all of the attendees and all of the presenters got to see everybody, which is rare, kind of a treat for us, as you know. I was sitting in on a program with a presenter who said something, and it was my big light bulb moment for that show. And I want to share it with your crowd tonight. What this guy said, and I want you guys to think about this when you hear it, and it reminded me, are you smarter than a fifth grader? The things we do to build business in our business are easy to do. What he said was this. He said, the things we do to build business in the beauty and barber business are easy to do. But he said, the things we do to build business in our business are easy to do, but they're also easy not to do. And I think what I took from that, my understanding of that is, look, rebooking. It's easy to do, but you know what? It's easy to skip it. It's easy to talk about the Barbie movie. It's easy to talk about Messi going to play for Miami on their soccer team, football, pardon me. It's easy to talk about the weather. It's easy to get off track, and it's easy to skip it, to blow it off, to do the easy stuff, and not to do these other things that will really make the change. It's easy to, I didn't do it. It's all right. I'll do it next time. Or you won't. The things we do in this business to be successful are easy to do, and they're easy not to do. The most important message behind that is it's a choice. And you have to choose to be successful. You know, I never really understood this, but there are people out there psychologically, deep down, they don't want to be successful. They don't want to have money. They want to be able to continue to tell that story, to listen to that internal dialogue that says, I came from a rough place and my family doesn't have and doesn't do, and we don't go on trips like that, and we don't own cars like that. And it's easy just to stay there, getting out of there, breaking free from that, wanting more, admitting you want more, and taking the necessary actions to have more. It requires effort. And there are people out there, you know, I do want to comment on this, Marv. You shared a clip in promotion of my time together with you that came from the show in Texas just this past week. And it was that video clip of me, and overlaid on the clip, it said, my competition sucks. Now, I know some of you guys saw that clip, and I want to make sure people understand that statement having been taken out of context. If you listen to the audio track, you would have a better understanding of what I meant and what I said. Because when I say my competition sucks, I'm not trying to be insulting. I'm not trying to belittle or demean anyone else in the business. I have great respect for the beauty and barbers in America. Do customers know when they experience good customer service? Every single time. How often do customers know when they experience unbelievably exceptional customer service? How often does it happen? Not often enough. The secret to our business. Here you go. And I say this all the time, and I know it doesn't sound good. Some people get their feelings hurt. But I'm going to say it anyways. One of the most exciting things to me about the beauty and barber business, one of the coolest things to me about the beauty and barber business, one of the things that gets me out of bed in the morning, bouncing out of bed in the morning about the beauty and barber business, is that in the beauty and barber business, generally speaking, my competition sucks. The competition in the business sucks. The other guy shows up late. The other guy looks at his book, and when there's nobody in the book in the afternoon, he leaves early. Somebody comes walking in and goes, hey, is Jimmy here? I gotta get a haircut. No, Jimmy left early. What do you mean? He's supposed to be here until 5. Okay.
So I figured I tried to load it up and I was gonna play it like once you got a break, but it just popped up on the screen and I accidentally removed you. So I didn't mean for it to happen like that. But I felt like if we played the video, it will give them context.
There you go.
Explain your point.
Perfect. Thank you so much, my friend. I stand behind those words. What I mean by this is customer service, generally speaking, is so lacking. And the rest of the industry at times makes it so easy for those of us that choose to win this game. It's an easy game. If you wake up in the morning and you want to win, you do not have to launch a space shuttle and do microsurgery on somebody's eyeball here. We're talking about doing things that are easy, doing things that are simple, doing things that are basic. And that was what was meant by that comment. And I'm thrilled that you had a chance to play it. I mean, the person who captured that, I don't know who it was.
That's my man, DJ Cutter. He's the man, bro.
Oh, my God. He did a great job of editing that and putting that up with the sound effects and stuff. You know, that's why I don't have 9 billion followers on social. I'm just not that good at that stuff. But that guy rocked.
Yeah, he's cool. He joined my course a while ago, and we actually did like a one-on-one mentorship, and we've developed like a cool little friendship. So it's cool watching his content and stuff evolve, and he's starting to figure out what to capture and stuff like that. It would be cool, man. In another life, I would love to have the free time to follow people like you around, right? There's a few people in my life.
I was just going to say, as you said that, I was just going to say, we all know that for how many years did Eric Roja, Pacino's, for how many years did Pacino's have somebody just following him around everywhere he went, videotaping like that? Yeah. If that dude wants to follow me around and videotape me all day long, let's go.
Yeah, I'm telling you that's what I'm working towards in my life, because I tell people this all the time. I get a lot of joy and happiness out of creating content of other people, right? The reason I do it of myself is because I'm reliable. I'm a product I have access to at all times, and I get a lot of practice on myself. But ideally, man, look, I was talking to Will about this the other day. Like people like Will Stan, people like you. There's so many. Not so many, but there's definitely a handful of amazing people where I'm like, yo, if I could just allocate a week of just hanging out with them and capturing them, I could create content for them for a year, because y'all just go crazy. Like the stuff you say on a day-to-day basis, especially at a barbering event. I could follow you at one barbering event or a hair show, capture your classes, capture your interaction, and I promise you, I could have content for you for an entire year. Just because you're a machine.
We have no good excuse for not doing that.
Yeah, it's gonna have to happen at some point. Yeah, I got a question for you. There's a couple things I want to tap on, but I don't know if VIP Phase is still on here. There's one thing I want to address, and then there's two things he said I want to address, and then I want to hear your thoughts on it. The first thing he said after you shared your book was, "How much is the book?" Now, the first thing I want to say to that is, stop asking those questions, guys. You got to stop. All right. You have to. People ask me this all the time. What's the best clipper to use? What's the best editing app to use? What's the best camera to use? What's the book should I get? And then I tell them and they say, well, how much is it? It don't matter how much it is. It don't matter. If we're giving you the resources, get the resources. Now, I understand why we think this way, because you don't want to feel like you wasted your money, right? You don't want to feel like you're not going to get your money's worth. Listen, guys. I've read so many books. I paid for so many classes. I paid for mentorships. I've done so many courses. And I can promise you, the worst stuff that I've gotten, even me spending money on some of the worst stuff that I've gotten, I've still learned something that made it so that I seen a return on my investment. So you're never going to go wrong investing into knowledge and resources and tools. So it don't matter how much the book is. I promise you, you get the book. If the book was $1,000, I promise you, you would see a return on your investment. That's for one. For two, it's $25. I think it is, right? On the site, $25, right?
Yeah, and you know what? The answer. I love your answer, and my answer is always, how much is the book? And the answer is the book is not nearly as expensive as not buying the book.
Mm-hmm. And can you elaborate on that as quick as you possibly could? Because I know what you mean, but there are people that are thinking like, well, what does that mean?
Yeah, the answer is missed opportunity. Every day that goes by that you don't figure out what you need to make it to the next level. You know, I always describe the business, our industry, it's a ladder. It's a ladder. I got on the ladder in 1988 and I started climbing. Now, when I turn around and I look down, I've climbed a long, long way since I got on this ladder. I've climbed so far, I can barely see the bottom because I've been in this thing a long time. However, when I look up on this ladder, I still can't see the top. I don't know where and what the top of the ladder is, but I know that every day the goal is not to get to the top of the ladder because I can't see it and I don't even know where it is. The goal is to put one hand or 1 foot, 1 rung higher. That's it. That's the whole thing. So when I say the price of the book doesn't matter, it's what does it cost not to buy it? Is what is it costing you not to climb 1 rung higher on the ladder? How, and you compound that. You know, Benjamin Franklin was known for talking about the power of compounding interest. That when you finally understand a penny saved is a penny earned, and that money in the bank that is earning interest, investment money, is paying off for you over and over. Money is making little baby money that's making little more baby money, and you're building, building, building. The sooner you start to save, the more you're going to build and grow. The sooner you change, the sooner you level up, the sooner you add skills, understanding, tactics, ability to your repertoire, it's a hockey stick. We're not charting a graph here that's going up slowly like this. We're trying to get a graph that goes chugga, 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 boom, and just takes off. So the price of waiting, the price of not doing, is far more expensive than the cost of doing.
Yeah, and I'll give you guys a real life example. So there's this influencer. I don't even know if that's the term you call him, but this guy I follow on social media, and he went to one of the events that I went to. It's an event called Funnel Hacking Live. It's like a network, digital marketing event where you learn a bunch of e-commerce, content creation, all that, right? But at the event, the guy that runs the event was offering a mastermind that cost $150,000 a year to join the mastermind, right? So this guy that I follow online wanted to join the mastermind, but he ended up getting caught up in networking and doing all of this stuff at the event that when he went to join the mastermind, he wasn't able to because it sold out, right? So $150,000. So now the average person, most of us would look at that and say, well, at least he didn't have to spend $150,000. He saved $150,000. But he was upset because he knew that within that mastermind, there was millionaires, multi-millionaires. So he knew by being a part of that mastermind, he was going to be around people that were going to teach him how to make millions of dollars. So he wasn't thinking about it from the perspective of, well, I just saved $150,000. No, he was thinking about it like, yo, I just missed out on millions of dollars by not being a part of this mastermind. So I say all that because hopefully that's an example that can drive home the point that Ivan's making, where the cost of not doing things often exceeds how much it will cost you to just do said thing. So it's not about how much
does the book cost, class cost. The other piece of it too is if you don't, for instance, don't buy the book and you spend a year treading water, getting nowhere, and then you buy the book for $25 next year, you wasted a year. You didn't waste $25. You wasted a year.
So long story short, invest in yourself. And it's not about just Marvy Marv stuff or Ivan Zoot stuff. We're talking about just yourself. Invest in yourself, especially your mind and your skill set. And the other thing I want to touch on that he said when we were talking about the rebook rate, right? He's a typical human like we all are, right? And we encounter these doubts and these things that may shy us away from taking action, right? So he says, how do you deal with rebuttals of clients saying I'll just come back or get cut by someone else who is available? So I know you have an answer for this, so I want you to give him what you think the answer is. What I want to say, though, is often a lot of these type of fears happen more in our head than they actually happen in real life, right? So a lot of these things that stop us from taking action because we're like, well, what if this? What if that? More often than not, it happens up here and a lot less in real life. So that's what I'll say to that. And I'm sure Ivan probably wants to piggyback off of that. And I'm sure he's got some answers for you when practical tips on how to deal with that as well.
Yeah, for sure. You know, my wife's got an expression she uses all the time, and that is most of the horrible things she's worried about have never happened.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time they don't. So the answer is this. You know, I was asked in an interview, what's that? Okay, my wife is in the background here correcting me that I got her quote wrong.
Yeah, you better get it right. She ain't playing that.
She said, wait, what is it? Go ahead.
Something like most of the
something like, okay, she's not even sure.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
All right, she said, most of the worst things that ever happened to me never happened. Okay. Yeah. So I got the context. All right.
Yeah.
You know, I expected your audience to bust my chops. I didn't expect this to happen in my own basement.
It comes from the people closest to you. You know how it goes.
Absolutely, my friend. All right. So what I was going to say is this. I don't even remember what I was going to say. No. What I was going to say is this. I was interviewed today for a program I'm doing next week, actually. And they asked me a question about if I could change anything about the beauty and barber business, what would I change about the beauty and barber business? If I could change one thing about the beauty and barber business, what would I change? And my answer was, I would change the confidence level of beauty and barber professionals. That's what I would change, because all too often we're afraid to ask people to rebook. We're afraid to ask for referrals. We're afraid to ask about take-home hair care product. We're afraid to raise our price. It's that fear based in lack of confidence in ourselves and in what we're doing. And to your point with this question about rebutting to objections for rebooking, one of the things that I find is a great way to build confidence in ourselves, in our team members, in our coworkers. Build confidence. Now, I don't know how many beauty and barber programs you've listened to in the last, how many Instagrams and TikTok videos and reels you've looked at. How many of them, in talking about improving the barber business, have talked about confidence? Here's the thing. I think one of the best ways to build confidence is what I call scripting. Work out what you're going to say ahead of time. Write it down and practice it. Just like when I was time to talk about rebooking, I said to Marv, I said, hey, you going to role play with me? We're going to play here. And Marv's answer was, you've done this before, because I've done this before. How many times I've drilled this over and over again. I've talked to the mirror. I've talked to my friends. I've talked to my family before I've talked to customers. So it's scripting. Scripting gives confidence. Scripting builds that confidence. Scripting means you're going to be prepared. You're going to be ready. And I'm not talking about being a robot, and I'm not talking about being phony, but I'm talking about practicing. You know, if you're going to be a Navy SEAL, you're going to practice. If you're going to do anything, if you're going to be a rock and roll god on stage with a Stratocaster, you're going to have to practice. If you're going to be a successful barber with a clipper, you're going to have to practice.
I love it. And what's going to happen, the more you practice, the more confident you're going to get, because it really is just the fear of the unknown, right? Like it's you not being sure of what to say or how you're going to say it or what they're going to say, and it's just this whole world of, I don't know how it's going to go. But if you could have the courage and the bravery to go to that world, even though you're uncertain and unsure how it's going to play out, and you can develop the belief that no matter how it plays out, I'm going to be all right, you'll notice that it's never as bad as you think it's going to be, number one. And then number two, you get more comfortable in those environments. And just think about it, bro. Just imagine, guys, if you Imagine if you were fearless. Imagine if you weren't scared to get turned down when trying to rebook somebody. Imagine if you weren't scared to get a weird answer when you're trying to promote yourself to somebody. Just think about how much more busier you could be, how much more money you could make, how many more things you could be doing in your life if you weren't scared to do it, right? I think we can agree you guys would be promoting yourself to everybody, trying to rebook everybody, right? Well, just get to the state of mind, and I'm not saying it's easy to get here, but it does require courage and bravery. Just remind yourself, I'm gonna be okay regardless. Maybe you stutter, maybe you forget what to say, maybe it's just a weird, awkward silence. But guess what? Afterwards, you're gonna see, wow, even though that was weird, I survived. I'm okay. I'm good. And eventually, doing that time and time and time again, you start to get to a point where you start to learn what you're going to say, how you're going to say it. You're going to start to learn what works, what doesn't. And you're just going to be a lot more confident in these situations. And then guess what? That's a skill that is going to pay off in I can't even put a number on it, in just all these different areas of your life. When you develop the mindset that no matter what, going into these unknown territories, I'm going to be okay. It pays off like crazy.
Yeah, I listen. True story. And then I want to answer a question that I saw come up on the screen here. Years ago, back in the days when I worked for that clipper manufacturer, I was out at dinner the night before a show with our educational team. These are the guys on stage for us with the company. And it got to be about 9:30 after dinner. And I stood up and I said, all right, guys, I'm done. I'm going upstairs. And they said, well, it's early. Why are you going upstairs? And I said, I want to go up to my room and I want to look over my notes for tomorrow. And one of the people in the group said to me, Ivan, you've been doing this longer than anybody at the table, and you're the best one here. Why are you going upstairs to look over your notes? And my answer was, I'm going upstairs to look over my notes because I've been doing this longer than anybody and I'm the best one here at the table. That's how it works. Absolutely. So listen, Javi Fades asked the question, feelings about prepayment or cancellation fees. Do you want to go there?
I think they do, bro. They want to hear what you got to say about that.
I'm just wondering whether or not this was planted just to try to set me off.
Listen, you know how the universe works, right? It's been giving you smooth sailing this whole time. It said, you know what? We need to fire him up. So Javi Fades, you say this, and here we are.
Here we are. Listen,
let's go there.
Let's go there. The last couple of years, I have been, quite frankly, blown away by the content on social media with barbers and other beauty professionals losing their minds over no call, no show, and losing their minds over prepayment and booking fees and all this other stuff. And my simple comment on this is, how dare you? How dare you make the mistake of forgetting that when you signed up for this, when you signed up to be a barber or a cosmetologist or a nail technician or an esthetician, when you agreed to this bargain, you dedicated yourself, your life, and your career to the service of others. And I think the ideas of requesting prepayment, threatening cancellation fees, and all this stuff is some of the worst form of misunderstood arrogance in our business. Now, here's the deal. I understand no call, no show can blow a hole in your book. However, life happens. Kids get sick. Freight trains stop in the middle of the street. Stuff happens. I don't believe that anyone is willfully and deliberately, maliciously making appointments with you and then canceling them or no calling, no showing at the last minute just to piss you off. But that's the way you guys sound. You sound like you think this is a personal attack on you and that it was about you. And the answer is, number one, you should be busy enough and charging enough that when you experience a no call, no show, you should see it as a blessing. You should see it as an opportunity to go to the bathroom. You should see it as an opportunity to go next door and get an order of fries. You should see it as an opportunity to go outside, get some fresh air, text your significant other, catch your breath, and thank God that you have a business in which so many people want what you've got that you've got a full book. No call, no show is a gift if viewed properly, number one. Number two, prepayment. Who prepays? What business or industry, it's with a few exceptions like United Airlines, really requires prepayment? You want a dozen eggs? You pay me, I'll give you your eggs. I'm not going to tell you got to give me money now for eggs next week. You know, I just don't understand where our industry all of a sudden, just because the booking app would allow you to do it, made us so arrogant, so focused on ourselves, so believing that what they saw in their station mirror was what was most important, themselves, and not recognizing that this is a career dedicated to the service of others, that you are here for other people. Sam Walton is famous, the Walmart guy is famous for saying, any day that they want, the customer can fire you simply by choosing to take their money someplace else. We've just, there's a piece of our industry that has just lost sight of who we are, why we're here, and what it is we're supposed to be doing.
That's deep. I question for you some pushback, not too much pushback, right?
Push. It's okay.
But some pushback. I wouldn't even say this is pushback. I guess this is more that what would your advice then be to the barber that is dealing with somebody who does frequently no call, no show?
Oh, that's easy. I got a script for that.
Okay, boom.
Boom.
Because that's the thing, right? It's like when they do the no call, no show once, like I'm in the spot where you just said, bro, I get so happy when people like cancel. It's weird. I get happy because
it's a gift. It's a gift.
I'll play on my phone, or I'll kick it with the barbers, or I'll do some cleaning, or I'll do some stuff with my equipment on my station. It's weird because I remember those times in my career where I see a no call, no show, and it would upset me or make me angry. All right, I'd whine and complain. Now I see it, I'm like, oh, bet extra 45 minutes, I'm chilling, right? But for the barbers that they're mainly just trying to try to limit their no call, no shows, and usually they implement a policy, and all of this stuff that gets implemented, usually, I think you'd agree with me, it comes from there's probably one or two people that they're trying to get the point home to, right? So what would you say that they do?
Like anything else, you got one bad actor.
Yeah.
If you remember, there was one guy that tried to get on an airplane with a bomb in his gym shoes. Okay. Now, 20 years later, no one in America can get on an airplane without taking their shoes off.
Crazy.
For responding to one lunatic. Okay. Same thing. It's all about scripting. Here we go. It's called the 3 strikes rule. It's as simple as baseball. Here we go. You no call, no show me, or last minute cancel. Here's my script. Marv, you're going to be the customer. I'm going to be Ivan. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
All right. Marv just no call, no showed me. Here's our conversation. Marv, dude, you're killing me. You no call, no show like that. I can't sell that spot. You cost me money. Don't do that again. Strike one.
My fault, man. I just got caught up. I slept in. The alarm didn't go off. My fault, man.
Oh, good, buddy. I love you. Strike one. The next time you do it. Marv, dude, you're killing me. We talked about this. You can't just blow off an appointment. I can't sell that spot. I can never get that money back. Don't do that anymore. Strike two.
My fault, man. I got caught up. You know, the kids, they had practice and stuff. I'm
Yeah, I
sorry,
get
man.
you. I know how it is. I love you, man, but you can't do this to me. That's two strikes, all right? Boom. Strike three. Marv blows off an appointment. And now it sounds like this. Marv, dude, I love you, buddy, but you're killing me. That's three strikes. Listen, you can't book with me anymore. You got to walk in. You just got to walk in. You can walk in 6 months, good behavior. I'll let you back on the book. Now, at this point, Marv's got two choices. Choice number one is to be a walk-in, be a good walk-in, and in 6 months, I'm going to let him back on the book because I love him. Choice number two is Marv goes, screw that, man, and he goes and becomes someone else's problem. I still love him, but he's sitting in somebody else's, or he's not sitting, as the case would be, in somebody else's chair.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that because it really is. We're in a time where people just want to avoid having awkward conversations or conversations that could potentially end in like some sort of conflict or confrontation or some sort of back and forth. Like people just rather avoid it. So I think that's where a lot of the cancellation stuff comes from, because you feel like you won't have to actually have the conversation. But I love what you said, because what it does now for the people that are ready to receive it, it gives them the words to use, right? It gives them the tools to use. So that way it's like, okay, I wasn't really sure how to handle that, but now I have some direction for the next time when it does come. So
Yeah,
thank you for that.
Somebody here asked, when we started this conversation, somebody asked a question about firing a client. That's it's part of the same conversation, recognizing that there comes a point in time in which perhaps we have to confront the reality that this client is not a good fit for this barber. And I think that's perfectly okay. I have a story I tell all the time about this, but I had a policy in my shop. If I got to a situation where a client was no longer healthy for me, maybe I wasn't right for them, they weren't right for me. Doesn't have to be no call, no show. Could be a variety of reasons. When we get to that point, it's a very simple conversation. And it would sound something like this. Marv, you're not happy in my chair, and it's important to me that you're happy. So I want to give you 3 choices for your next haircut. And you have to be a manager or an owner to be able to do this, or you have to have management and ownership support with this. But it sounds like this. Marv, your happiness is important to me, and I want you to be happy. Today's going to be the last time I'm going to cut your hair, and I want to offer you 3 choices for your next haircut. Choice number 1 is you can pick anyone on my team here in the shop, and I will pay for them to cut your hair next time because I want you to be happy. Choice number 2 is I will pick a member of my team that I believe is best suited to making sure that you're happy, best qualified to take good care of you. I'll pick, and I'll pay for it for your next haircut. It's on me because I want you to be happy. Choice number 3, and you can pick any one of these. Choice number 3 is you can pick any barbershop or hair salon in the greater Chicago metropolitan area. I will call, I will make an appointment for you, and I will pay for it with my credit card because I want you to be happy. Okay? You pick. And a lot of times when I've done that, I've done exactly that, exactly as you heard it. A lot of times the answer you will get was, oh, no, Ivan, don't be silly. I'm happy. Well, your behavior, your comments, and our interaction don't feel like you're happy. What do I need to do to make sure you're happy? And most of the time, that person will apologize and say, no, we're good. I'll see you next time. And the next time they come in the shop, it's going to be like they had a brain transplant. You will be dealing with an entirely different human, or you won't. But one way or the other, you'll fix the problem.
Ivan, let me ask you real quick. Is 919? How long did you set aside for this?
For you,
Yeah, how long did you set aside?
as long as you want to go.
All right. I think we could probably go, I'd say for maybe another 20 minutes if that's cool with you.
20's good. I know my wife was. We got a couple of things we got to catch up on
Yeah.
TV, and
Oh,
I'm an old
yeah.
man. I got to fish early in the morning, so I can't be up too late. But once we're on a roll, and you got an interactive audience here that's enjoying what we're sharing. I think some people are taking away some good things from this. So let's
Yeah, and I
give
feel
them
like I'm about to get you fired up again. That's why I asked. My wife's waiting on me too. That's why I'm like, all right, I'm gonna try to be conscious of the time. But I feel like I might get you fired up. I don't know if you've seen this comment. It says, had a barber who would fire their client because they didn't tip enough. After that day, I never went back. How do you feel about that? I feel like that might be something that gets you a little worked up.
You know what? I'm not going to get worked up by this one, but I'm just going to say something real simple. And, I cover this in the pricing book. The cost of your haircut, the price of your haircut on the menu should represent the full value of what you deliver, of your experience, your value proposition. A gratuity, a tip, should absolutely never be expected. It should be graciously accepted when it is offered. And when it isn't offered, it should not in any way, shape, or form impact whether you feel you were compensated appropriately for the service or how you feel about that client. Now, I will tell you this. The shop I worked at up until COVID in the neighborhood here, part-time, traveling, teaching, working part-time in a shop, was part of a very mixed and diverse community. And one of the, we'll call it demographics that patronizes that barbershop is a group of people and a community whose culture considers tipping to be an insult. They take customer service very seriously. They take their role and their responsibility to do their job and to serve people as in many ways, a sacred obligation. And they view the idea that sliding a couple of extra bucks or giving somebody any extra money would be an insult, number one, and number two, would devalue what they offer and undermine the relationship with the customer. So as a result, this group of people, this culture, does not tip. They do not tip in their country, and having come to the United States and assimilated and become Americans, that is a tradition of respect that they incorporate into the way they live in our country. It doesn't make them stupid. It doesn't make them cheap. It doesn't make them lesser in our barbershop. Quite frankly, once you understand it, and this comes back to most issues of social interaction, most friction between people is the result of a gap in understanding. Where somebody's coming from, what they mean, what their previous life experiences are all about. So you don't know why someone isn't tipping. There are people who choose not to tip as a way of very clearly sending a message about the service they received. There are other people who come from a culture where we don't do this. There are other people that just don't know. But more importantly, our pricing should reflect our full value. And when someone pays you what you listed on the menu and no more, you should be grateful.
Yeah, bro. I remember going through some of these phases as a barber earlier on too, man, when the haircut would be $15 and I get handed 15 and I'd be mad about it. It's like,
I think we've all been there. I'm not going to tell you that I didn't feel that way early on in the business before I kind of expanded my understanding of some of these things.
Yeah.
I think and I'm not going to fault anybody for thinking or feeling that way, but I'm going to try hard to help educate people. At the end of the day, raise your price.
Yeah.
Decide what you're worth. And I tell people, when you set your price, stand up straight and tall. chin up, shoulders back, chest out, nice and high, and smile when you tell them the price. My book is $25. And smile when you say it.
Absolutely. I remember it just like, it probably was one of your classes, right? Where it clicked for me, where it was like, bro, if I'm charging 20 and I'm really expecting 25, then why am I not just charging 25? Why am I not, you know? So
And I think to your point, I think that is something that has held our business back for a long time. A lot of guys going, I'm charging 20 and everybody gives me 25. So if I charge 25, they're not going to give me any more. So there's no reason for me to go up. And the reality is, dude, if you're charging 20 and they're giving you 25, if you charge 25, they're going to give you 30 most of the time. Most of the time, because most people, most of the time, are very generous and they tip appropriately.
Yeah. And there are instances like you mentioned where some people just, it's a cultural thing, or they're just unaware, or, they just, or they just are trying to show you they're dissatisfied with the service. But, once I developed that understanding, like, hey, this is what I charge. That's what they pay me. I'm happy with that. They pay me more. I'm probably a little bit happier, right? Let's be honest. But at the end of the day, I'm getting what I'm asking. So what the heck? It's a good day, right? It's not like they're trying to short me and not give me what I'm asking. They're giving me what I'm asking. So I think if barbers could get to that understanding quicker, it's going to help them, because I'm telling you, there was a lot of frustration early in my career. Like, I'm sure you can agree, where it's just like, this person's cheap, this, that, and the third. And it's just like, man, we're just creating narratives on things that we really don't know nothing about, and I love a lot of your message tonight. A lot of your message tonight is about just being of service. And I agree, man. Like, one thing I've noticed, and maybe it's just because I'm focused on it, you've been in this industry longer than me by a little bit, right? But what I've noticed is, definitely since the pandemic, I feel like barbers, we all got just so much more entitled. And it's like the customers are here to service us. It's like the roles flipped almost. Like, it's very weird. And I kind of can see why it happened, because everything got inflated during the pandemic and we started getting paid these prices and people were begging us for haircuts. And it's like this whole ego thing happened where we just started thinking we were so important, and it's kind of carried over. And I think in the midst of all of that, we've lost a touch with the fact that we are service providers and we're providing a service. I posted this earlier on my page. Let me show you this real quick. I know you want to speak on some of that, but let me show you this real quick. I posted this earlier, and it was this video right here. It says, in all seriousness, how long should this haircut take, right?
I saw this earlier today. Yeah.
Right. So normally I take like 15, 20 minutes on them. I put there's been a time or two, or there's been some times where I've got them done in 7 to 10 minutes. Right. And that has had to happen because there's been times where he's came in very late. Right. And he's like, can you still fit me in? Yeah, bro, I got you. Cause I can zip through it. I watch Ivan Zoo. I know how to get down now. Right. So, and then there's just been other times where I've been booked up and he's hit me up like, hey, I'm trying to get in. I see you don't have any availability. Is there any way you can squeeze me in? And, I've accommodated him because I know I can get him done in 10 minutes or less. Right. So somebody commented and was saying how people got to respect your time and you can't let people walk all over you. And I do agree with that. And I understand that. And there are a lot of contexts where I agree with that. However, at the same time, when this is somebody that, in his example, I've known him my whole life, literally since when little kids, I grew up with him. I've been cutting him my whole career. And I know that I have a 10, 15-minute window in between my appointments that I can fit him in. Of course, I'm going to tell him to come in. Of course, I'm going to go above and beyond because I know I can pull it off. And I know he's going to be grateful for that, right? So rather than me just saying, book an appointment or else, I'm just like, all right, bro, come in. I got you. It's going to be a quick cut, but I'm going to get you, and I just think that I understand that perspective of the comment 100%, but at the same time, I just also feel like I'm a service provider, man. And there are times where I need to go above and beyond to accommodate some of these people that I'm giving service to. And I feel like you want to speak on that. So what do you got to say about that?
Well, it's just a funny story, 1998. You got to remember, this is before any kind of booking apps. We took appointments on paper with a pencil, you know, the old days. 1998, I broke the Guinness World Records for haircutting. Fastest haircut in the world, most haircuts in an hour. In 2000, I was the first person ever to break the world record for 24 hours of continuous haircutting.
What were those numbers for the people that don't know?
Well, originally the record for 1 hour was 18 haircuts in an hour. I broke the record. I did 22 haircuts in an hour. A couple years later, somebody broke my record. They did 23 haircuts in an hour. So I did 34 haircuts in an hour. That was the world record for an hour. The single fastest haircut record originally was 2 minutes, 23 seconds. I did a haircut in 2 minutes and 9 seconds. Somebody broke my record. They got it under 2 minutes. So 16 times I've broken that record. Best I've ever done is 55 seconds. Single fastest haircut. Now, my point of telling you this is, after I broke the records, people are calling my shop. They want haircuts. I'm fully booked. And my receptionist is saying, I'm sorry, you can't get in today. Ivan is fully booked. And people are saying on the phone, I don't care. He has world records. I'm coming in. Now you got to remember, these world record haircuts, these are not real customers. These are publicity stunts and charity events. And this is not the way you serve the real world.
This isn't a drop low fade with enhancements with a beard sculpt and a textured top, guys.
And a razor lineup. Yeah, right. No, it's a whole different deal. But to your point, you know, back in those days, I was doing 45 head a day every single day, and I was doing 6 or 7 an hour every single hour. So when you talk about, can you get somebody in, can you squeak out a quick one because they got a wedding or they got an interview or they got something going on, you know, yeah, I got you, buddy. Come on in.
But at the same time, Ivan is also going to tell you guys, you can't just let people walk all over you either. You know what I mean? Like, and there's just context and that's what sometimes people, they can't understand what my content, they think I could cover every angle and every context in a 60-second rant or just one carousel swipe. They think I could, well, okay, so you did a haircut in 7 minutes. Let's see you do a low fade with a beard sculpt in 7 minutes. It's like, bro, that's not what
That's not the point. Well, and that was where, you know, when I tried to clarify the statement out of context from that video clip, people take one little nugget of something, they want to run with it. And again, remember, there's a difference between being a servant and being taken advantage of. And I think we know that difference. And I don't think, I go back to that no call, no show guy. I don't believe anybody is no call, no showing with deliberate malicious intent. I also don't believe anyone is mistreating us with deliberate malicious intent. People may be selfish. They may be self-centered. They may be thinking more about what they need and want right now. And they may lose a little bit of sight of the fact that we are a human who's just trying to run a business, who's just trying to take care of people. But again, we go back to communication. We go back to understanding. We go back to recognizing our role in the equation. You know, one of my comments on this, and I know you've probably talked about this a lot, I never understood the celebrity barber thing. And what I mean by that is people would ask me all the time back in the day, hey, Ivan, you ever cut celebrities? You ever cut celebrities, Ivan? And my answer was, yeah, all the time. Really? Ivan, you cut celebrities? They say, yeah. In my family, we consider anyone who pays for a haircut to be a celebrity. It depends on what you choose to celebrate. I am celebrating revenue.
I love it. And it's interesting too, because it is such a, like, people are just so curious about that. I get asked it all the time too. And for me, I've been fortunate enough to travel a decent amount in my little short career and have conversations with thousands and thousands of barbers and a lot of barbers who actually cut celebrities. And my conclusion that I've came to after having a lot of these conversations, even probably beforehand, but definitely after having the conversations, is that is something I am not at all interested in personally doing. So what kind of makes me sad from time to time is I see some of these people that are trying so hard because they want to be able to say they did that. And I guess it is good for ego boost or confidence builder or just proving to yourself that you could do this. It's good from that angle. But a lot of times what's going to happen in a lot of instances is people are going to do that and then see it's not what they thought it was. And it's like you just invested all this time, effort, and energy and made all these sacrifices to do this thing. And now it's like, okay, I'm still in the shop 5 days a week. I'm still running late on booth rent. I'm still trying to figure out how to pack this chair. I just cut so-and-so and I cut so-and-so last week, but I'm still here. Like, where was my big break, you know? And so I don't know. It is a little unfortunate that people are so obsessed with this idea of cutting what we define as celebrities rather than being excited to, you know, take care of these people that are in their community, you know, these people that are helping put food on their plate, bro, helping keep a roof over their head and keep nice clothes on their back and stuff. It's like we act like they're not important, but these celebrities that don't care about us, that would walk right past us if we were laying dead on the street, we act like that's the goal. And it's just,
yeah, you
it's
know,
interesting, man.
My favorite clients were either you know, because of the type of work that I do, I love cops, you know, cops, firefighters, garbage men, municipal workers, snowplow drivers, that category of guys, or contractors, electricians, plumbers, you know, guys that are framing houses, you know, that are coming in the shop with real dirt on their boots and apologizing for getting my waiting room floor dirty. Those are my clients.
I love it, bro. So there's the man himself, DJ Cuddy. He's the one that captured that piece of content that some people took out of context. He's going to be in Jacksonville this weekend. You're going to be there too, right?
Absolutely. Tell him bring his phone, man. I'm going to share. I'm going to share a program, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he cuts it up and makes out of it.
Yeah, he's going to be there. He's going to capture content. He'll definitely. I'll link up with you, homie. I'll be there. It's going to be a great event. It's going to be fun. Ivan, what do you want to leave these guys with? I'm going to pull up your website again quick. Is there anything that you just want to remind them about, or some game you want to leave them with? Anything? I'm going to pull up your website on the screen if there's something in particular.
Yeah, I mean, ivanzoot.com, they know where to go. If I can be helpful to you to help you build and grow your business, most important thing I think I want people to remember is it's an honor and privilege to serve customers in our business and an industry. I've taken the perspective that for me, it's an honor and privilege to be trusted to help people build and grow their business, for people to share their challenges and what they do every day, whether it's a book, some kind of fancy tricky comb, or a couple of videos in my online academy. You know, the first month of my academy is absolutely free, so there's no risk associated with it. If you think I can help you, please give me the opportunity to do that, and just continue taking good care of people. And remember that's what we're here to do.
You're gonna be getting some payment notifications for sure, because there's some stuff that I gotta add to the arsenal that I don't have. So you'll be getting some from me, and I'm sure you'll be getting some from some other people. So guys, it's at Ivan Zoot. All right, make sure you follow him. Go to ivanzoot.com, at Ivan Zoot, on whatever social media platform you're on. You're pretty much on all of them, right?
I'm on all of them. I'm not very good at any of them, but I'm on all of them. I need one of them Marv social media courses to blow mine up, because I see what you're doing for people every single day, and I'm never gonna be producing content at that level, but I'm out there trying, and a huge respect for the things you do and what you're doing in the business out there. You know, it's all good. I appreciate the opportunity to spend a little bit of time with you.
Yeah, always, man. And I'm telling you, I'm working towards, I told you earlier, I'm working towards being the guy that's got the team assembled to capture the content for people like you, because it's just like, there's some, you come across people in your life, and you know this because you've done it. You come across certain people in your life where you're just like, all right, They got the glow. They are truly intended on elevating people, right? And with you, it's just not barbering. Yeah, that's the vehicle for sure, but it goes so much deeper than that, right? So, I'm meeting people in my life with those traits, and I just think to myself sometimes, like, yeah, I wish I could help them get their message out there more. That's part of the reason why I'm doing things like this, right? Because this is one way I can do it. Somebody like Will Stam last time, there are people like, who's Will Stam? Will drop some of the most amazing gems I've ever heard, and it's like, he might not have been seen or known simply because he's now developing the content creation skills, but prior to that, he didn't really, he wasn't invested into it. So now it's like, okay, he's on my platform, more people are seeing him, he's getting better at his content, his message is starting to spread like crazy. Somebody like you, 35 years into this, you've been doing what you can with the content. But I already know if you had somebody like me, DJ Cuddy, you had some of these animals with these cameras and editing behind you, bro. I don't know if you'd be able to handle some of the influx of what would come just following you around like this all day,
Hey,
But
you know what? I
one
have
day
no
we're
idea.
gonna make it happen. I
I
promise
have
you.
no idea if I'd be able to handle it, but I'd give it my best shot.
For sure. So Ivan, I appreciate you, man. Thank you, bro. Thank you for everything. You've changed my life and helped me in so many positive ways. And I think I'm speaking for the entire industry and the culture of barbering when I say we truly do appreciate you and we're grateful for you. Thank you, bro.
Thank you so much, my friend. I look forward to seeing you down in Florida real soon. Safe travels. And
see you then. I got to hear it one time before we go. Barbers! Appreciate you, my brother.
All right. Have a good night.
You too, man. So with that being said, guys, barbers, let me know how you feel about the conversation. Flood the chat. Let me know how you felt. Guys, if you haven't done so already, take either a screenshot of this. If you're watching on your phone, share it to your story. Tag me and Ivan in it. If you're watching on your TV or laptop or something, make sure you take a picture of it as well. Share it to your story. Tag us in it. K Cuss says, I appreciate you. Business Minded Barber says, Marv, that was good. I'm glad you guys love this. If you didn't get an opportunity to watch the whole thing, you already know I'm saving it back for the playback. Also, just one last reminder, I had some tickers going up on the screen. If you're watching this live right now, for those of you that have been wanting to enroll in my social media course, if you use the promo code GET25 off by midnight tonight, you can enroll in my social media course and get $25 off. All right. So I actually pull it up on the screen for you real quick. If you go to itsmarvymarv.com, you'll see it take you to this page. And all you got to do is you click here, 6-week interactive social media course. Scroll down here. There should be an area. If you got a coupon code, boom, you click there. And if you type it in, add coupon code, get 25 off. You will get $25 off until midnight tonight. All right. Also, if you go to the barber store, again, at itsmarvymarv.com, guys, if you go to the barber store, where are we at? Shop shirts, hats, and hoodies. You can check out all of this stuff. And again, till midnight tonight, if you use the code SAVE10, you'll get 10% off of everything in there as well. All right. So I hope you guys enjoyed this conversation. I look forward to having more of these conversations with amazing people. So if you guys have anybody you would like to see me have a conversation with, let me know in the comment section on the video, or let me know on my IG or something like that, and I'll do my best to make it happen if I feel like it makes sense. All right. Barbers, I love you guys. Until next time, keep chasing greatness, keep pushing. You already know I'll tap in with you soon.